Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattus.
Drops another one. They are losers of 3 in a row. 85-76, the final. 3 in a row for Syracuse, and stuff to nitpick from all of them. I'm Kyle Marchak. Thank you guys for joining me on the postgame show. And once again, we bring a really somber tone into this show. And we have some callers on the line already. I'm sure they've got plenty to say as Syracuse falls to 12-8 overall. Some really easy stuff to talk about. And how about I run through the game recap super quick before taking these callers. Early first half, Syracuse comes out and delivers back-to-back turnovers in 2 of their first 3 possessions. I would say I'm surprised, but I'm not. And we still have not seen any changes stylistically to prevent these sloppy turnovers. They were down 9-0 4 minutes into the basketball game. I feel bad for Eric Devendorf, a guy who's made a name for himself away from basketball and now on air. I've met him in person. Great guy. I think everyone loves him in Syracuse. And he is the go-to color commentator for the ACC Network Extra stuff and most of the men's games in the Dome. He gets to suit up, go to his alma mater, watch some Cuse hoops, and they play a brand of basketball that he probably doesn't even recognize at this point. And you could hear the frustration in his voice. Continuing the recap, 12:20 left in the first half. They were down 20-10. Just sloppy basketball. They had 4 turnovers in the first 25% of the game. Luckily, they cleaned it up after that, but in terms of a rate of turnover, that cannot happen. Later on in the first half, they eventually tied it at 27 all, just with smarter shooting. Where did that go? I mean, Miami did a great job defensively. You have to give them credit. But at least we can talk about something positive here, because late in the first half brings us to our play of the game. Kyle Anthony had his moment this game. Honestly, one of his best games in a Syracuse uniform. 5 minutes left in the first half. Anthony got in his bag, hit a little step back tray. That was a bucket. Next possession, breakaway dunk in True Washington's face and dangled on him too. It's pretty disrespectful, I'm not going to lie. So Kyle Anthony had his little moment, which is nice. I think he continues to develop, and I hope people don't continue to put pressure on him to shine the way his father did. It's a different game now. I think next year he's going to be one of the best players in the team. So we get to halftime, and Syracuse made it reputable. They were down 5, 41-36. And I could break down detail for detail what happened in the second half. There's really not much to talk about. 2 different 6-0 runs in the second half for Miami. That's kind of the story. Miami is a slightly more talented, but infinitely better coached team. I think Miami just ran on a different engine. You know, they were a more well-oiled machine. They actually turned over the ball a lot, but they ran at a different rate. So that's the story today. All right, let's go to the phone line. Let's talk to Jordan in New York. Hold on a second.
How you doing, Kyle?
All right, Jordan, how you doing?
Frustrated, as per usual, it seems like this year. Rebounds.
Yep.
Rebounds, I think it was 30-17 was the final?
Yeah, it was 29-16.
Yeah. So many times, Kyle, right there in a 2-3, doesn't turn around, offensive rebound, putback.
Yep.
They had 8 offensive rebounds to our 5, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think.
It was 29-16 overall. The one that I was concerned about was the offensive boards. Sure enough, we got out-rebounded there, too, 8-5. You know, Jordan, you joined the show a lot. What do you think of just this, like the lack of, I don't want to say lack of effort because I'm not out there hooping. I don't know how tiring it is to box out. But these guys, Miami is an aggressive team. They're not boxing out.
No. No one looks for the ball. There's not enough people crashing, and their guys might not box out, but they're crashing, they're going to a hoop, and it just seems to go their way every time. Every single time. They just somehow get lucky.
I mean, I think this team, and Jordan, I appreciate you for coming. I think this team definitely met their match in terms of physicality. Rebounding's definitely a big part of it. How about we get to Stefan in Utica? Am I saying that right?
It's Stefan.
Stefan, gotcha. Sorry, brother. How you doing, Stefan?
Well, hello, Kyle.
Is this Steven? This is Steven.
This is Stefan.
Okay, we're going Stefan today. I'm glad to have you calling for the first time today. I hope you like me filling in for my guy Gio, who's driving down to Texas right now. I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, hopefully safe travels for him. Now, foul trouble is a little bit troubling with the Syracuse basketball team, and they got to stop committing the silly fouls and too many fouls, plus too many turnovers, and they just couldn't get over the hump this afternoon.
Yeah, I think, well, we saw, 3 guys foul out the game before?
Yes, we did. Foul trouble is not good, and this team needs to be held accountable from Adrian Autry.
I absolutely agree. Steven, I appreciate you for calling in. I think the turnovers continue to be something to look forward to, and the foul trouble is pretty incredible at this point. All right, how about we try and sneak in? Yeah, let's sneak in one more caller in this first segment. Let's go to Pat in Syracuse. Pat, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing better than our team, definitely. How are you doing?
I think everyone's doing better than our team right now, Pat.
I think we got to get you a nickname, you know?
Oh, I would be...
I mean, what do you got growing up? What do you got?
Well, my full name's Kyle Marchak. I didn't have too much. I'll tell you, Gio and most of my friends just call me Shaq.
Shaq is perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah, Shaq?
There it is.
All right.
Shaq.
Yeah, I look a little different from Shaq. I'm smaller and paler than Shaq, but I'll take that comparison, Pat.
How about Skinny Shaq?
Skinny Shaq, sure. Yeah, I think everyone's skinny compared to him.
I think Shaq's a good one. Why not? But no, anyway. So one thing I was thinking about in this game was, I think there's a lack of hunger on this team, and part of it is back before the NIL and back when players played together for more than one season, you had a hunger and you had a goal to make the tournament. Now, the fans and a lot of people say that hunger's still there, especially for us. It's been a million years since we've been in the tournament, so of course we are. But these players are getting paid.
Yeah.
So that's something that they're enjoying. And they haven't bonded together. Like, they didn't make a run and fall short in year one and then really want to get back, or in year one make the tournament and realize how great it is to make the tournament and want to get back there. I am not speaking that they don't want to make the tournament and that's not a goal of theirs. But what I'm saying is it's not a deep passion like it used to be, and I can see it. It's so evident. And I don't know if it's just a personality. That feeling that you have to either experience either getting there or like getting snubbed or something like that. And I just don't see it, because these guys have no clue about it. And it's the head coach's job, who was in the tournament, to speak about that. And I would be curious to ask him if he ever has.
Yeah.
Because that is his goal. And he's going to live and die with J.J. Starling. And, I guarantee there's people listening that are probably going to roll their eyes about J.J. Look, J.J. is an ACC player. Okay. Mm-hmm. I've never said he's not an ACC player. He's an ACC player on a good team. He's 20 to 25-minute guard. That's all he is. With the free throws, you don't want him in late in the game with his lack of a jump shot. His defense is below average. It just is. Now, that leads to my last point. Again, Coach Autry has a lot of good zone lineups that he could go to. I'm going to give you 3 right now, and I don't think we saw any of them.
Okay.
1, JJ at the 1, George at the 2, and then you've got to have a back line bigger. So I would like to see Sadiq with Donnie on the wings and Kyle. Never saw that lineup, not one time.
Yep.
I guarantee if you saw that lineup, we would have done better at least doing one thing. Well, what's the one thing that we would have done better? More than 17 rebounds. Yeah, it's hard to rebound in the zone. Well, like Buzz Williams used to say, when Syracuse's zone would cover from one side of the court to the other, it's a lot easier to rebound. And that's a lineup that can rebound as good as any zone lineup Syracuse has had in a long time, since Wes Johnson and, guys who were really springy. So that's one lineup I would have liked to see. You say, oh, that lineup stinks. It doesn't have this, doesn't have that, doesn't have enough shooting. Okay, fine. You take Sadiq out of that formula and you put Betsy in there. So now you got Betsy to shoot it a little better, and everything else is still the same. Betsy is 225, 6'8". Don't think we saw that lineup.
Yeah, I think everyone's calling for more Betsy minutes right now.
Let's say you say, JJ's not a good point guard, or he was struggling today because he was. I mean, his missed dunk and that block
3 for
shot
10
when he
from
went
the
in lane.
field.
Yeah, I mean, just awful. But, okay, so let's say somebody might say that George had a better game than JJ. Okay, so you go George at the 1, either Cayenne at the 2 or Kings, and then you still stack that backcourt. Or excuse me, the front court. You need size. Sadiq didn't play a lot as far as I know. I only watched the second half because I had better things to do in the first half, to be quite honest with you. So that's my thought. Coach is going to die on that hill with JJ. Unfortunately, Donnie's in a massive slump, and I'll be the first to admit it. And my last thing I'll say, I'll be the first to admit it. Donnie had 3, 4, or 5 games in a row where he was putting up like on average 25 and 12.
Yeah.
I mean, those are sick numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost sure it was 25 and 12. So, of course, if you have multiple games of over 20 points and double-digit rebounds, you are going to get proclamation from a lot of people that you're the best player that we've seen in a long time. Well, unfortunately, since that point, he's been stinking up the floor just as bad as JJ. So, season's over. But at least we got a nickname for you. We're going to call you Shaq.
Yep. All right. Skinny Shaq it is. Appreciate you, Pat. All right, Pat, a common caller of the show. We're going to step away for a second, come back, talk about the rebounding issues, and we'll hopefully get a word from Adrian Autry very soon. Postgame presser brought to you by RomanoCars.com. Coming up soon, and I'm sure he is taking his time getting to the podium. He knows I guess you could say, Shark Tank of journalists waiting for him. 3 losses in a row now for Syracuse. We'll be back on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio. Hey, Paul, you want to stop in here real quick? So what do I do now for the presser? Do I have to run it from my end, or? Yeah, it's going to be a minute.
Oh, it's no. It's gonna be a minute, probably.
Should I try and get a segment in?
Take your own. You'll probably come to a second. I will say Stefan is a legitimate caller.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Stefan. I thought he was Steven. It's Stefan? Okay, that's my bad, dude.
Just keep looking at your phone, because Jordan will text us.
What's
his name shows up. So I just turn the ringer on. But yeah. You got a segment.
Okay, so wait, when he is on, do I have to do anything from my end? Just slide that up. Yeah. Can I just do this and then just hit the red buttons? And I can do that with the phone too, right? Bet. Oh, yeah. I don't know why we don't do that. Yeah. All right, bet. Thanks. Shout out to Niagara Mohawk. One ability and it's to drive. Isn't it? Coming back at you for the Syracuse men's basketball postgame show. Syracuse dropped their third in a row. Second straight at home, 85-76 the final against the Miami Hurricanes. And they just got outdone by a squad that, frankly, the Syracuse fan base pulled all stops out for, trying to muster some sort of win on the Blizzard night or whatever that theme is with the student section. I should know the official name. They pulled fire alarms in the opposing team's hotel last night. Poor Miami Hurricanes. It's 81 degrees in Coral Gables right now, 9 degrees here. Those guys are probably out at 2 in the morning in their blankets thinking, wow, they're pulling our fire alarms. Well, all for naught as Syracuse drops another dud by 9 points. Second segment of the postgame show, and we had our guy Pat on the line. He was talking about how J.J. Starling is an ACC-level guard. There's just holes in his game. I don't know if he's an ACC-level point guard. I don't want to take away from what he's done. He's certainly had good moments in a Syracuse uniform. But when the lights are brightest, and frankly, the lights weren't even that bright tonight against Miami, he comes out, misses a dunk in a moment where Syracuse was streaking. That right there, maybe not as much a J.J. Starling issue as it is an Autry issue. How are you going to let guys make mistakes like that? You can't. You just can't. Just like the Virginia Tech game, rolling the ball softly on the floor when inbounding, trying to preserve some sort of clock, and the shortest, smallest guy on the floor diving on it, and by the grace of God, it was a jump ball, and Syracuse kept the ball, but that could have very easily been a turnover. And then that rebound Donnie missed at the end of the Virginia Tech game. Here we are in Miami, or against the Miami Hurricanes, and We're talking about more really sloppy mistakes like that. I'll get to our star of the game in a sec, but how about we head to Dro and Clay. Dro, how are we doing, brother?
Kyle, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thank you for joining.
Welcome. I know your parents very well. You can ask your dad. Your dad knows me. We'll just leave it at that. And I know you graduated my son as well from high school, but you might figure it out after.
Okay.
Anyhow, going on this. I'm glad to see you're doing well here, though. That's great. Going on this game. I don't know what to say anymore with this team.
Yeah.
We can never put a full 40 minutes together. We have an opportunity to cut. I think to tie the game, and JJ misses a dunk, and then Miami goes on a 12-all run. Look, you are who you are after this amount of games. This team's obviously not going to make the tournament. Obviously, Autry will not be our head coach next year. He's not going to get fired right now, and I think people need to get out that bandwagon. He'll coach through the duration of the season. Who's going to make Alan Griffin our head coach? Come on. I mean, it's just frustrating because when I grew up here, as your dad did, Syracuse University, we'd be complaining, we're going to be the 2 seed, we're going to be the 3 seed. Now it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the frustration part. We just can't ever get over the hump. We cut the 2, the team goes up 12. You're not playing Betsy, and obviously Betsy's grandfather or father will probably go on social media tonight complaining about the coaching, which that's a whole other story. There's just too much talent for this team to not be 17-3 right now, or even 18-2, or like 16-4. There's just too much talent for this team to be 12-8, and that's where my frustration comes in. I think he's definitely using the wrong lineups. We're not getting rebounds. We're just falling. We're just having a lot of lapses, and I just don't know what the answers are. I'm surprised we're 12-8. And that's really what it comes down to for me. I just think there's just too much talent we score points, we cut down the lead, and then we just never just cannot go over the hump. I'm running out of answers for this team. I don't know what the problem is, but listen, it's going to be a long winter here for SU basketball, but I'll say going forward, the university is going to have to pony up.
Yeah.
When they did,
Yeah, Drew, you're cutting out just a little bit, but yes, I hear you there. You, my father, me, all kind of in the same seat here thinking, when can we have good things? I'm sure the frustration's boiling for you, Drew.
Absolutely, it is. And listen, I've been a lifelong fan, and this is about as bad as it gets. I feel bad for Autry. Autry is a great player for this university. He gave 4 years. It's kind of like a Chris Mullen, Patrick Ewing thing. It's just not going to work out. That's the reality. So that's all I got, man. Thank you. Keep up the good work, Kyle.
Thank you, Drew. It's a pleasure to meet you. I know we've talked before, and I'll try and contact you away from the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, take it easy. Stay warm. Good guy. I love the people who call in. I love the community here. I think we all are kind of sitting in the same seat right now. It is really hard to imagine what successful Syracuse men's basketball looks like going forward. Honestly, I think they could turn and look at their other basketball program and look in the eyes and see the appearance of another program that knows how to transition from coach to coach and still find success. I mean, Leggett Jack took over a program that, because of the previous coach, was in kind of shambles. And Syracuse women's basketball is freaking great this year. Top 5 in the ACC, guaranteed tournament bid. And Leggett Jack just had to recruit her seat off. Here we are in year 3 of this project with Autry. He got, I guess, enough money to recruit talent. Definitely enough talent to make the tournament. We had a resume that was pretty much tournament bound. We just needed, a couple more marquee wins. And they start dropping duds. Now, is Miami a bad loss? No. Miami is a team that is comfortably headed to the NCAA tournament. I actually think they could very well end up aging into a quad 1 loss. But at the end of the day, Autry, despite not having the same budget as a large majority of the ACC, mind you, is just not doing a good enough job with the talent he has on the floor, period. And again, we come back to the sloppy mistakes. JJ with a missed dunk because he got excited. Your starting point guard went 3 for 10 from the field. I mean, guys, we have good and bad nights. But when you go 3 for 10 and one of them is a gimme dunk, I mean, I'm not going to feel bad for you. I'm just not. So frustration definitely boiling. So how about we twist it to a positive note and then step away for a sec. Hopefully it times up well with our post-game presser brought to you by RomanoCars.com coming up with Coach Autry. And I'm curious what he has to say. Our star of the game, Donnie Freeman led all scorers with 14 points. So obviously, you know, he did what Donnie Freeman does, although he was not as effective tonight. So I'm going to pivot and go to the kid that I talked about before the game being a potential spark off the bench. How about Kyle Anthony with basically the performance of his career so far in his young career at SU? 13 points, 5 of 8 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3. And I mentioned it earlier, he was the play of the game in the first half, helping cut the game to a 27-27 tie. He had a little step back 3. Next possession, a little breakaway dunk. And honestly, for guys like Dro who call in, for guys like my father who Dro is friends with, most people, most middle-aged fans of Syracuse basketball, they see Kyle and Anthony get that little moment. They see Melo and everyone standing courtside, clapping, and kind of just in awe of the moment, like how serendipitous it is that Melo's son just had his little moment. I know it's just a microcosm of hopefully bigger things to come. I know it doesn't really mean much right now, especially in the complexion of the season, but that little moment might bring a little tear to older fans' eyes, and I don't blame them. I mean, I've got years of internalized anger directed toward this program because just as I'm waning into my middle-aged years, this program completely changes, and we're just not seeing the same product. They do have the talent, and honestly, they could be still a sleeping giant. At any moment, this team could just go get a big win. So how about we go to Red Autry for the post-game presser brought to you by RamonaCars.com.
Which, we knew that's what their strength was, and we just didn't do a good enough job to do that, to keep them out of the paint in transition. Every time when we had a chance to kind of catch some momentum, we came up short offensively, and they came back and made us pay on the other end. I have to find a way to get our guys to understand the consistency and the tough stuff, the toughness, the second chance points, the rebounding, and I thought that was the biggest difference in the game. We just have to find a way to embrace that. Talent is just not enough, and we got to do a better job. I have to find a way to get these guys to understand how important those things are. We talk about it, we practice it, we just don't execute it, in the games. So that's on me and my staff to get these guys to do the tough stuff and fall in love with the tough stuff. We've talked about that. Especially the last couple of games. That's the job at hand. We got to continue to fight, and that's all you can do. You only can fix this by continuing to fight and having confidence and pushing forward. Questions?
Adrian, there was a clear frustration shown today by the fan base. At this point in the season, what is your message for them on why they should still believe in this team?
Well, I think the one thing is we've shown the ability to be able to play and to win. And also, I think this group will keep fighting. The coaching staff will keep fighting. It's a lot more opportunities out there. The season, provides us this year with more opportunities than we've had in the past. So it's still a lot of basketball to be played. And I think this team, and my coaching staff, we're going to keep working. And I think we can, change this and turn this thing around. I know we can. Again, we've been close, but it's just, we haven't been able to get over the hump yet. And I think this team has the ability to do it, and we will continue to work and push hard. But the season is far from over with. Unlike, years in the past, you would have to basically, have to go and do something, very, very hard. But we still got a lot of great opportunities, and this team has competed. We've come up short, so it's there. We just got to be able to do some little things just a little bit better.
When you were in Las Vegas, the team played really good defense. The defense was tougher. You came home against Tennessee, played pretty tough defense. What has happened with the erosion of defense?
Yeah, that's something that we've talked about. Obviously, in league play, it's a little bit more familiarity with what, and the game planning and things like that. So that always is something. But we talked about that as a team, and I talked about that with the guys. Like we got to get our edge back. And I thought today was a good sign on that end. When you look at us being able to force them over turn them over 16 times. So that's heading in the right direction. I think the games before that we did not do that. We did not turn teams over. And I thought today we got out in transition and got some points in transition, and that's a big part of what we do. So we have to keep doing that, and I think we've lost that edge a little bit, and we've talked about it. So we got to keep, trying to be aggressive and be in people's faces and not foul as much and, make people take tough shots.
The third straight loss and some of that noise outside, kind of sort of, how do you keep your players focused and attention on the season and testing?
I think that's always, the issue or the problem trying to do it. And what I've learned is, the noise is never going away. The noise will always be there, especially now, with the different platforms and everything and parents, around. The noise was there when we were winning, and the noise is there when you're losing. So, that's something that comes with it. And, my job and our job is to get our guys focused, to get them, to buy into what we're trying to do and keep their heads up. And so that's what we're going to do.
Coach, personally for you, what's your frustration level? You talk about how you practice, you talk and practice, but the execution isn't necessarily happening in the games. How frustrating is it for you that your message isn't getting across?
The message is being received. I think the inconsistencies, and I think, again, the timing, we just had some plays there, we got a shot, we got the ball where we needed to get, we don't make it, someone, kind of, is frustrated. They get back. They get an easy point. I think in particular we had probably 2 5-point swings where we had a chance to do something, make a shot that we normally make. We don't make it. They go back down and they cash in on that. So that's the frustrating part because they do it. We work. Our staff. Everybody puts so much time and effort in, and our players as well. And it's not 40 minutes. It's those dips, and I've been saying that from the beginning of the year. We've been trying to fight those dips all year, and so I have to try to figure out something better, something better. That's my job. I don't run away from that. I don't shy away from that. But also, our guys. It goes both ways. I think our guys have to step up as well.
Coach, seen over the years like a big dump fire the crowd.
Yeah.
Do you teach JJ to do anything different in that situation, or do you just live that?
Yeah, we want to be aggressive. Makes and misses are a part of a game, and when the game really boils down to it, it's about makes and misses, and defensively, I think we got them to miss, but they got the ball back. And they capitalized. So, but in that situation, I wouldn't tell JJ to do anything except make it. You just got to make it. But that's how the ball has been bouncing.
Coach, Nate and Tyler were a pretty sharp job today from the team. Just where did you see that make it happen, and how important is it for them to get going in this offense?
It's very important for us. We had that stretch where we wasn't making threes, and then since we got into conference, we were making threes, and that's a big part of it. I thought Miami's defenders did a really good job of getting through those screens. Getting through our screens, blowing them up, making those guys on the catch put the ball on the floor. They didn't give our guys much room. So I thought that's what Miami did.
Coach, you're talking about falling in love with the tough stuff, wanting the guys to fall in love with those difficult things, those little pieces that they need to correct. Why do you feel like they haven't fallen in love with it up to this point, this many games in?
I think, we talk about young men, a lot of young men that come in, and, like anything, I'm sure this is for most coaches, that their identity is probably a little different. And so, that's the challenge, to get them to understand those things. And that's coaching, that's my job, to get them to understand that. Like, you have to do those things, right? Like, those little things, those loose balls, those 50-50s, the miss, the game plan, right? Like, you got to know the game plan. That's my job, and it's to get them to do it, or try to find someone that can do it.
Coach, your team finishes with 16 fewer boards. What made it so challenging to rebound against Miami today?
I thought a lot of it was our aggression. I thought we got extended. It was the first time we kind of got extended. And what Miami does is, one, they're a big physical team, and those guys, they send 3 guys to the glass, pretty consistently, and those guys, by us being extended, I thought we gave up a little bit of inside position, and then, we played a lot of zone. I thought that's where they really kind of got some second shots when we got them to miss. They were already, the way the defense is, you're gonna have some guys, bigger guys inside of you, because we are trying to take away shooters, and when the shot is taken, we're coming down, and they got some inside position. So we knew we'd have to fight better, and I thought, they did a good job of keeping us on their backs and getting the ball.
Time for one more.
Some of the things you said about, getting the team to buy in on aggression and everything, like the clock's kind of ticking against you to do that in the schedule. It's getting tough up there.
Yeah.
How do you adjust things at this rate of the season when the margin for error is pretty small?
Yeah, we have to have a sense of urgency, to be honest with you. That's the biggest thing. Having that sense of urgency, knowing that this is has to get done. I think they know that, but we have to do that. Like, it's the talk is, we have to do the actions, and we have to do it, and we do it at times. But the consistency piece of it is, that's the thing that they have to understand. They have to understand, like, every possession matters, and that's going to be the difference. That's going to be the difference. We have to come up with more, dirty plays. We just have to. We got to come up with more those on the ball, on the floor, those type of plays. And then we got to cash in when we have a chance to cash in. We really do, because today we gave ourselves. Again, we turned them over. This is the most we turned over a team in a while, and we got out in transition. And, so that was an improvement. We took care of the basketball, and that's something that we've been talking about. So, again, you learn from every game. But, at the end of the day, we got to get ready to get on this road and go down there and prepare to try to win a game. And that's not going to stop. We just got to keep going. And I'm going to keep pushing these guys. I'm going to keep pushing them, and no one likes to lose. And our guys don't like to lose, but we got to do things, better. And we're just not doing them better right now. Thank you, guys.
All right, that's the post-game presser brought to you by RomanoCars.com. Autry, apprehensive as usual. I mean, he's kind of like Fran Brown. He's going to give it to you straight. And, I mean, we can't diss the guy for being honest about things. He said it. Things need to be better. Quotes from the presser that I'm going to take away. We just don't execute this stuff, meaning some of the harder things like consistently boxing out, showing with your hands ready. And I'm trying to get these guys to fall in love with the tough stuff. I can't hear that stuff from a head coach. I'm still trying to get my team to fall in love with the tough stuff. John Shire has his guys romantically involved with the tough stuff on day one of camp, not even when the season starts. There just has not been a strong enough effort to instill discipline in these guys. So frustration is mounting. 3 losses in a row now for Syracuse men's hoops. We're going to step away for a little break on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio, and then we'll have some callers when we come back. Thank you guys for tuning in. All right, we'll be back in a moment on ESPN Radio.
Time with Tim Leonard. Well, here's what you missed.
DJ, if you just called in, I got you in 2 calls. We've got someone we got to go to first. Yeah, Pat already called in. Hey, Paul, we got callers, by the way, buddy. I'm sure the call manager is failing on you. All right. Mike, I know you're listening, so I got you. What's up, Antonio? What's up, buddy? Call in, man, if you watched the game at all. Yeah. 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 I got my buddy DJ up next, so I'll probably hit him this segment too. Cool. Thanks. Dude, just call in anyways. Just don't cuss. I expect Scrabble excellence. I'm glad that you said that, actually, because I'm doing a little thing where I use a thesaurus word every day, and I'm about to use it. Cuse Sports Hour, I kind of feel you there. What's up, Ian? I don't know if you watched the game, Ian, but feel free to call in if you want to sound off. You cover the team more than I have.
Erie Boulevard East, or visit us at SyracuseBicycle.com today.
No one has more used and sells more used than Drivers Village. Over 600 pre-owned vehicles, priced right, including 100 priced below $20,000. Look at these examples. Each ride has a minimum 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty. Financing help for everyone. Bring your trade-in or just sell it to us without buying a thing. DV is the area's used car headquarters. Find yours at the warehouse and everywhere at Drivers Village. See more at driversvillage.com. We're back for our second year as Boom Boom Italiano. That's right. Same fun, same large portions, and bold new flavors you won't want to miss. Get ready to feast with house-made sauces, shrimp scampi, chicken riggies, fresh homemade chicken cutlets, desserts, and everything you've grown to love. Corner of Howlett Hill and Corporal Welch and Camillus, and on Facebook. Boom Boom Italiano. Ciao bella.
Boom Boom Italiano is now open on Howlett Hill Road in Camillus. Check them out on Facebook.
Follow us on Twitter, ESPN Syracuse.
Segment 3 in studio, coming at you from downtown Syracuse on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio. Postgame for Syracuse men's basketball. Thank you guys for tuning in. Kyle Marchak here as Syracuse loses their third straight and now drop to 3-4 in the ACC, 12-8 overall. And this time another not bad loss, but man, the mistakes they are making in some of these losses are glaring. So with that, how about we just go straight to our Massage Envy hotline and talk to our Syracuse sports insider, Mike McAllister. Mike, nice to speak with you. It's our first time chit-chatting together.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Well, that's better than Syracuse is right now, so there's that.
Yeah, I think everyone's doing better than them right now.
Absolutely. So for me, the biggest thing was I was really curious to see how they would come out at the start of the game because obviously, they see all the negative stuff that's on social media and the frustrations fans are expressing and, calling for the coach's job and all that type of stuff, right? They see that. They're not naive and everything else. So I was curious to see were they going to come out kind of with their hair on fire playing really desperate to sort of, show out for their coach and show some fire and understand how important this game was for the direction of the rest of the season. Because like you said, losing to Virginia Tech and Miami, they're not bad losses, right? They're not like losing to Boston College is a bad loss. It's not like that. But you've now got 3 losses in a row. One of those was to a bad Boston College team. And you wasted 2 opportunities to get quality wins on your resume. And at some point, not having a ton of bad losses isn't good enough when you can't rack up wins. And given what Syracuse has on the road coming up, they really needed these home games to sort of give themselves a tiny bit of wiggle room after losing to Boston College. Not doing so gives them almost none, or probably gives them none. But I was a little disappointed to see them come out a little bit flat and be down 9-0 before you could really even blink your eyes that the game had started. And then they never really recovered from that, right? Because if that instead of 9-0 is 9-5 or something like that, when they make that run to tie the game late in the first half, it's not tied. They're up by a couple of possessions. And when they're making runs in the second half, it's not cutting it to 2. It's giving them a 4 to 6 point lead. So when Miami responds, they're only up 2-4 instead of up 12. So that 9-0 run to start the game, Syracuse just could never really get over that. If you look at pretty much the rest of the game, it was kind of even. That ended up being too much for Syracuse to overcome. But I think a big reason why is on the defensive end. Yes, Red is right. They forced more turnovers in this game than they had in the last few, but they gave up a really high shooting percentage overall and from the three-point line. I thought they were better in zone than they were in man, but then you're kind of in a double-edged sword because when you're playing zone, you're not rebounding as well. We know rebounding was a major issue today. So if you know that they're going to crash the boards hard with 3 physical guys inside, then, you got to adjust to that in some way and make sure your guys aren't out of position overextending or, figure something out from a lineup perspective where maybe you're playing Sadiq, Donnie, and William Kyle up front, even though that might not be great from an offensive standpoint. Maybe that gives you a little bit more from a defensive and rebounding standpoint. Just some different options given the style of play that Miami has. But really disappointed with the way that they came out. Was hoping that they would come out kind of, with their hair on fire. And it's going to be interesting to see how they respond because speaking of someone who plays with their hair on fire, Quadir Copeland is waiting in the next game. And you got to imagine that he's going to want to show out against his former team.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that's frustrating, Mike, is it feels like we can never match the energy of the team that we're playing. We go up and down in the range of whatever energy they kind of bring. Do you think that is an Autry thing, that he's just not instilling a certain mentality in this squad?
See, I've kind of gone back and forth on this because if you go back earlier in the season, like I'm thinking specifically of the Houston game, they played with energy the entire game. The 45 minutes, including overtime. Yeah. And we know it's well documented. They lost. They didn't shoot well from the free throw line, et cetera, et cetera. But they were pumped up, amped up, gave every single ounce of energy they had for the full game. And that's why I came away from that game saying, yeah, it's disappointing that you didn't get the win, and that was certainly a missed opportunity. But if they're going to play with that level of effort and especially defensive intensity for the remainder of the season, they're going to win a lot of games. I don't know where that's gone because as they've gotten basically back home after that Tennessee game, I haven't seen that same level of consistent defensive intensity for 40 minutes, and I think it's cost them multiple games. So in some respects, it's up to the players to sort of motivate themselves, but at the same time, if they're not, then the coach has got to figure out a way to get them to play like that more consistently. You know, it's impossible to expect them to play like that for a full 40 minutes in every single game. But you should be able to play for that play like that for more than half of the game, and certainly more than what they are doing now. If they're going to have lapses offensively, as we've seen in multiple games, you can make up for that by playing extremely well on the defensive end to get yourself out of that offensive funk, get yourself some transition opportunities, and keep yourself in the game when you are going through an offensive drought.
I want your take on this, Mike. I feel like the difference between a team like Syracuse and a team like Miami, or maybe teams a little bit better than Miami, just to make the difference more glaring in terms of quality of play, is based on this quote that Autry gave, which is, quote, "I'm trying to get these guys to fall in love with the tough stuff being boxing out, having your hands in the passing lanes, you know, being ready to shoot when you get the ball, picking your head up and finding the right target." A lot of these small things are falling by the wayside. Is that the difference between, maybe other than a little bit of money and a little bit of talent, the difference between a team like Syracuse and maybe a John Shire-led Duke Blue Devil squad?
That's certainly part of it. I don't think this year, given this roster with what this team is, that talent is an issue why they're not making the NCAA tournament. Just looking at raw talent as far as the roster top to bottom. But not wanting to do or not falling in love with some of those little things, as you mentioned, and as Red said, yeah, that certainly plays a part in it, because you can have all the talent that you want in the world. And we know that we've seen it from Tommy Freeman, right? He's an incredibly talented player. He's going to be an NBA draft pick, and he's going to be playing at the next level. You can have that level of talent, but if every player on the team is not playing with that, you know, basketball is my life, every single possession is, you know, life or death to me. If you're not playing with that level of intensity on a consistent basis, then you're going to have games that slip away, or it feels like you should win. Hofstra, for example, Boston College, for example. Whereas if you're playing with that level of intensity the entire time, if they played with that level of intensity and energy that they did against Houston, against Boston College, they win that game by 20-plus points easily, right? But they didn't play that way. And so you have to wonder, why is that? And I don't have the answer to that. If I did, then I'd probably be a head coach somewhere. But you know, that's certainly the challenge for Red and for the staff for the rest of the season, to try to get them back to that. Because as he mentioned, there are a lot of opportunities. I know fans don't want to hear that right now, that are upset about what do you have to do to get back in the NCAA tournament mix. If they win a bunch of their games that are remaining on their schedule, they'll get themselves back into that talk. Yeah. But I don't think anyone is expecting that based on what they've seen from the last 3 games. So they certainly have their work cut out for them.
I was literally about to ask you that verbatim. I mean, how many of these games now would they have to go win? I guess you could say steal in order for them to have an at-large resume, because at this point, the fans, as you know, are just like, well, that's it. We got to go win the ACC tournament. And I agree with you. We can't pull the trigger on that just yet.
No, so they've got 11 games left, right? So if, let's say that they were able to figure out a way and go 8-3 or 7-4 in those games. Mm-hmm. So if they're 12-8 right now, and they end up 19-12 or 20-11 going into the ACC tournament, and they don't have any more bad losses, you know, they've got a game against Pitt. They've got a game against Notre Dame, for example. You can't lose those games, but or even at Wake Forest, you probably can't afford to lose. But if you win a few of these games, like let's say you beat SMU, if you split with North Carolina, if you win at Virginia, and then you can steal a game at Louisville or something. I know that seems preposterous to a lot of angry Syracuse fans right now, but just hypothetically, if they were to do something like that, right, and so your 4 losses are, I don't know, at Duke, one of them against North Carolina, maybe one of them at a Louisville, or, you know, an SMU at home, something like that. If you're able to win 7 or 8 of those games, it'll be, I think you at least give yourself a shot. But, you know, at some point you're going to have to start scoreboard watching and resume watching and seeing what other teams around the country look like. But that will certainly give you your best shot. Of course, if you go 11-0 in the next 11 games, you're going to be in. So there's always that, right?
I think what's tough is looking at the remaining schedule, Mike. it's hard to think that somehow from now until NC State, this team will change enough to have the ability to endure some type of gauntlet to finish the season, frankly. I mean, 7 of their next 11 games are quad 1 opportunities.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm not saying that this is easy, but if we're trying to look at, and, I cover the team, so people always get mad at me when they lose a game and everyone says that everyone needs to be fired and cut everyone stinks and blah, blah, blah. When I take a look at, okay, this is where Syracuse currently is. If they want to get themselves back in the NCAA tournament picture, here's what they have to do. And people get mad. But listen, I'm also a numbers nerd. I love numbers. I've always loved math when I was going to, in high school, everything else. So I like to look at the numbers and sort of see how things could potentially shake out and all of those things. It's just something I enjoy doing. So as long as I cover a team and there's some sort of mathematical possibility for them to get there, that doesn't mean I'm expecting it to happen, but I'm at least going to take a look. And to your point, they've got 7 potential quad 1 opportunities coming up. A majority of those are on the road, which makes it even more difficult. But, you probably, of those 7, probably need to win at least 3 or 4 of those quad 1 opportunities to give yourself a shot into making the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and they've only got 1 quad 1 win, so it's asking a lot. Before this, Bart Torvik had Syracuse with a 3.2% chance to make the NCAA tournament. That's going to find a way to somehow dip below 3.2%. Again, I think you and me are trying to tell the fan base, all right, guys, they don't have to go and win the ACC championship just yet, but they definitely are on the back end of the picture of quote-unquote being in the hunt. With that being said, final question for you, Mike. How do they match up against NC State?
Well, I guess it depends on what level of energy that they bring. If you go look at ESPN's matchup predictor right now, they've got NC State as having an 82% chance to win the game. So their analytics don't think Syracuse matches up very well. But here's the thing, right? So I think on paper, if you look at it, that there is an opportunity, I think, for Syracuse to play really well defensively and win this game. But I think that the intangible factor here is the revenge factor from someone like Quadir Copeland. He's going to get his team riled up, and they are going to play this game like it's as important as any on their schedule. I just have that feeling. I have since I saw it on the schedule, or since Quadir Copeland committed there. I just felt like that was going to be a game that he was going to circle on the calendar and was going to play his absolute best and get his teammates amped up to play their absolute best, and it was going to be a real tall task for Syracuse to win that game. And nothing I've seen as far as the way that they play, as far as the way that he plays and the way that Syracuse has played, do I think that's going to change. I think he's going to smell blood in the water, and he's going to try to do everything he can to blow Syracuse out of that building. So I think they have a real tall task going into that game, because I think the momentum and the emotional factor of that game is certainly going to be on NC State's side going into it.
Yeah, Mike, I don't think anyone would be shocked for Quadir Copeland to play with his hair on fire, like you said. Mike, I appreciate you for calling in, and I will talk to you very soon.
Great chatting with you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, take it easy. And stay warm. All right, how about we go to my buddy DJ and Clay. DJ, how you doing, brother?
Good, Kyle. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Let's get your thoughts super quick before we cut out of this segment. What did you see in this Syracuse game?
I just want to say, as a fan, and the last caller talked about being in numbers, but viscerally, speaking as a fan, it is really frustrating to watch a team that cannot run an offensive set and move the ball. 13 assists today. 13. That is absolutely abysmal. It is a level of individualism on that team that I don't think I've ever seen with a Syracuse team. In my opinion, it is not only a coaching error, but it is also everyone thinks that they're hot stuff on that team, and they're not able to come out and play with effort and play with a sense of, okay, we have to prove this to everybody. Everyone always thinks that they're the most talented and they can do everything themselves. There's no cohesiveness, and that's both a coaching and a personnel problem.
Yeah, I think there's still some ISO ball being played. Did you not see a little bit better of an effort to play team basketball today?
It was. It's just my issue is I was counting. There were possessions that I counted how many passes there were. 4 passes, 3 passes. They do a good job. They do a good job rotating around, but they're not passing the ball like some of these other teams that we're seeing out here.
Yeah.
I mean, go look at Miami's ball movement throughout the game. They were firing the ball all over the place, and we do a great job with our, throwing up lobs to William Kyle and Donnie Freeman, and we have that advantage. But when it comes to half-court offense and trying to move the ball around, we struggle because I think everyone is trying to prove that they're the best. And it's a cohesiveness problem, and it starts at the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it does start at the top. And, I mean, you saw it in the postgame presser. DJ, I'm going to have to let you go and move on to another caller, but I miss you, buddy. Stay warm, and let's catch up soon, okay?
Yeah, sounds good, buddy.
All right, brother. All right, we're going to get to Jake in Iowa in just a second, but to his point, yeah, it does start at the top in terms of designing a better half-court offense. Autry, like he said, and this is the quote I'm going to keep harping on, said, quote, unquote, it's hard to get these guys to fall in love with the tough stuff. That just can't slide. All right, let's get to Jake in Iowa. Jake, how we doing?
Hey, Kyle, good to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
From the last caller, if it starts at the top, it also starts with the athletic director, don't you think?
Yeah, Wild Hack has had his hands full.
Well, Kyle, I hate to do this to you, but this isn't a post-game show. It's a postseason show, bud. You lost to Boston College, and you're talking to me. You had chances to recover, and you've blown the last 2 games. And now you're going to tell me that we've got 7 of 11, quad 1, and you're telling me we're going to, sweep the table from here on out? This isn't a post-game show. It's a postseason show. We got to talk about the coach. Autry's got to be gone. All right. So Jim Boeheim wanted to be here. Jim Boeheim, as far as I know the school doesn't announce these things, but as far as I know, his contract was never over $2 million. And you go back to football coaches, Fran Brown. What do you think they're paying him? He was never even an assistant coach anywhere. So the fact of the matter is, you got to go out. You got to start a coaching search right now. This school has never paid coaches. They don't want to pay assistants. You're going to fire Autry now, and you're telling me Alan Griffin's going to take over? That's Adrian Autry minus 3 inches. So you're not going to change anything if you fire Autry now. But what we really got to do, NIL money doesn't pay for coaches. We got to start thinking about the next head coach, who it's going to be, and be serious about it. Outside of, the Syracuse coaching line. And I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you taking my call.
I appreciate you, Jake. Yeah, I think Jake is ruminating over it just as we are. The thing with Jake that I disagree with is, I don't know if they get rid of Wild Hack just like that. I get it. Basketball has gone significantly down since he was hired 10 years ago. But he did make the Fran Brown hire. And assuming the team stays healthy next year, that could pay dividends and possibly pay for Syracuse men's basketball's next big head coach if for whatever reason they hold on to Autry next year. But yeah, they in terms of finding a different head coach, I urge everyone in the fan base, yes, I agree with you. If they don't make the NCAA tournament, there will be a new head coach running this Syracuse men's basketball team next year. If we want to talk about that, I agree with Jake. It's not Alan Griffin. It's not going to be Jerry McNamara. We're not going to steal Mike Hopkins from the NBA. We will have to go outside of the family. You know what? I'm okay with that. I think everyone born and raised in Syracuse is going to have to find a way to be okay with that. Because Syracuse basketball now isn't about playing Syracuse basketball and winning. That doesn't exist anymore. It's about playing good basketball and winning. And then that will become Syracuse basketball. How about that? All right, we're going to head into segment 4 on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio. Yep. How we doing?
Good. Don't forget to talk to the jokes during the commercial break.
Yeah, I'm talking to the chat a little bit. Young Kyle, we're not going to steal Mike Hopkins, is so far off. Hop been lobbying for the job hard behind the scenes. Okay, fair enough. I just don't think Hopkins is the right guy at this point. He didn't do good out in the West Coast, from what I remember at least.
Coach of the year.
Where at? He did get Coach of the Year out there?
Twice.
Well, didn't he crash and burn at the end?
Yeah, but it's fucking Washington, too.
He crashed and burned at the end. Yeah, I guess maybe I'm misremembering. More like the fan base will mutiny if they hire Hopkins. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. All right.
At this point, I think they take anybody. How was I gonna? Do you have a one of those battery car jumper things?
Oh no, I don't. Your car's dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to AAA it. It blows.
I'm going to do now. Good luck. God bless everybody.
All right. Sorry about that, dude. What's going on, chatters? Need to bring Ronnie Cycli back. You know Ronnie Cycli's like a DJ now? Did a good job when he was filling in for suspended Jim Boeheim. He did. Yeah, no, you guys are right. I think I misspoke a little bit on the Mike Hopkins thing. But I don't know. Like, I think it's time to go outside of the family. It's 315-437-7644. Hey Taylor, how you doing?
Of over 150 forms, including craft beer, hard cider, seltzers, canned cocktails, and mocktails too. Keep the good times going with live music from name brand covers. Compete in a game of cornhole. Snap a pic in the DWI team photo booth and play throwback video games with Retro GameCon. It's the longest running and largest brew fest in the area. No beards are required, but a flannel is encouraged. Get your tickets now at cnybrewfest.com. Want a ticket without committing to a session? Grab a golden ticket. Available only at Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus. Get all event details and tickets at cnybrewfest.com.
The home of the Giants. ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1, 1200 AM and 1440 AM. This is the Verdict Lexus and Verdict BMW postgame show.
Back on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio. Syracuse men's basketball postgame show, final segment. And we'll see if we can walk away with some level of positivity after a 9-point loss at home. Third straight loss for Syracuse men's hoops. This time against another tourney-bound team in Miami. Again, guys, the complexion of this season is changing not because of these losses. They're only real terrible losses. Boston College. Hofstra was pretty inexcusable, too. these past 2 losses between Virginia Tech and Miami aren't bad losses on a resume, but man, especially against Virginia Tech, they had that game in their grasp and let it slip away. Like, we are who we thought they were, and we let them get away with it, you know? So how about we go back to the Massage Envy hotline, talk to Jay in Baldwinsville. Jay, how we doing?
Hey, doing good, guys. Hey, listen, I hear, I've been listening a little bit here, and I hear, let's bring Hopkins back. Let's bring McNamara back. Let's bring some of the, some of our Syracuse family back. Listen, give me the guy that just coached tonight for Miami.
Yeah.
Give me that guy. Let me tell you something. He put a coaching clinic on. I was at the game. Let me tell you something. His bench was organized. Everybody knew their role. He carved up Autry when Autry tried to press near the end of the game. All of his guys, they ran great offensive sets. He made timeouts at the right time. His substitution pattern didn't look like a Chinese fire drill. and I'm telling you right now, give me that guy. All right, if you don't want to go with that guy, give me the guy just down the road who coaches for Colgate. He seems to have SU's number every year. But I'm telling you guys, the thing that summed it up for me watching the game was when Freeman hit that, fadeaway three-pointer at the end of the shot clock when Miami went into zone. Grady scored. But watching, first of all, it took us 25 seconds to recognize that we were in a zone. Yeah. We looked totally discombobulated. Nobody would flash to the foul line. And again, it was one of these things where he threw up a Hail Mary 3 at the end, and it kind of went, it's like on to the next play. So I'll let you go. I'll let you go, guys. But I'm telling you right now, give me that guy that I just saw tonight for the Miami Hurricanes. Phenomenal coach.
Yes, Jay Lucas did do a fantastic job. Thank you. Jay, talking about Jay Lucas. And you know what? Why can't Syracuse have nice things at this point, right? Let's go outside the family and just get a coach who's got all of their P's and Q's in order, their T's slashed, their I's dotted. And, I mean, heck, having his bench organized, per se, what Jay in Baldwinsville is talking about, is a pretty telltale sign of whether or not a coach has a real grasp on his team. I don't know about the locker room. I don't know what's going on in the locker room if these guys have ego issues, which we've seen in an Autry team before. That was the first year. You want to give him some grace, but we've seen it before. So you wonder, especially when, and this is my 4th time using this quote, he said in the postgame presser, quote, "I'm still trying to get these guys to fall in love with the tough stuff." John Shire never had to convince his guys to fall in love with the tough stuff. That's why he is a first-time head coach with an excellent team that continues to be a national championship contender year after year, despite the pressure of taking over for a historic head coach. Hey, Red Autry, you're taking over for a historic head coach. Okay? You are in the same seat as John Shire, but John Shire doesn't have to convince his guys to fall in love with the tough stuff. It is ingrained in them. They have no choice but to love the tough stuff, to not make mistakes, like walking under a rebound at the end of a one-possession game, like rolling the ball on the floor and just not noticing the fastest guy on the floor, hurtling towards the leather and stealing it. Luckily, it turned into a jump ball. Other coaches don't have to do that. All right, final caller of the day. It's my good friend from Blacksburg, Thomas. How are we doing?
Okay. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Obviously, losses to Boston College, Virginia Tech, and Miami. I think it was by combined 17. Losing these games by 2 possessions. How do you think that they can bounce back? Not even to try and get some tournament hopes, because it seems like that's kind of growing bleaker and bleaker by the day. But how do you think that they move forward in the short term?
I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's hard to say just by paralysis by analysis. There's so many things that you can nitpick, and it also may just be microcosms of the game that they played, like today with the rebounding. But overall, you see Mike Young at Virginia Tech handle a team that doesn't make sloppy mistakes. I don't know. I've never been a head coach before, Thomas. I don't know what Mike Young does different day to day that makes Virginia Tech not walk under a rebound or give the ball away every other possession. I just know that the turnovers are at an astronomical rate compared to the rest of the ACC, and that's why Syracuse has the same talent as Virginia Tech, for example, yet they're 3-4 in the ACC, and Virginia Tech has had some tough losses. I think they have a similar record, but are still very much within reach of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, Virginia Tech 4-4 in the ACC. It feels like Virginia Tech was in kind of the driver's seat for those final 4 minutes, and then they almost gave it way back to Syracuse, but just like, how deflating do you think that loss was? That loss to the Hokies was for today?
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine that's pretty deflating. I haven't paid too much attention to that since I'm covering Syracuse today, but yeah, well, let's see. At the road in Louisville, I think that's a great time for me to go around the ACC after this. It's actually a part of our final segment. But yeah, Thomas, I appreciate you calling in. I don't want to talk about the Hokies too much, but they are a good draw in terms of what a good head coach looks like with minimal to decent level talent in the ACC. Appreciate you, Thomas.
Of course, man. I'll catch you later.
All right, take it easy. Love Thomas, good kid. He's a sophomore at Virginia Tech, and we've got some journalist friends that like to call in. All right, how about we get to our scores around the ACC today to wrap up this post-game show? Pretty straightforward, it seems, today. California and Stanford are about to tip off. Stanford is just outside the bubble. They are the last team out. First team out, pardon. They would actually be the 10th team in the ACC to make the NCAA tournament. Right now, there's a projected 9. Why Syracuse can't be one of those 10 or 9? I don't know. Boston College, Notre Dame about to tip off, and Clemson at Georgia Tech took care of business, 14-point win. NC State, the team that Syracuse will play next, just won at Pitt by 9 points, as expected. SMU leading by 2. Just entering the second half at home versus Florida State. That should be an easy SMU victory. Louisville won at home by 14 points over Virginia Tech. That is a tough road opportunity for the Hokies. So the chance of them winning that game, slim to none. North Carolina finally with their first ACC road win. They won 85-80. So an actually high-scoring game at John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville, Virginia against the Cavaliers. And then Duke won at home and smashed Wake Forest 90-69. So coming up on Monday, Duke will play Louisville. That'll be interesting to watch. And then Tuesday, next game for Syracuse at NC State, Tuesday, January 27th, 7 p.m. So with that being said, I think that brings us to our Auburn Community Hospital thing to improve upon. Auburn Community Hospital is improving their team. Apply today at auburnhospital.org. Don't get out-rebounded, okay? I don't know if they're going to go and win against NC State in Raleigh. I don't think anyone believes that. Mike McAllister told us it was an 82% chance of NC State winning, according to most analytics. But how about we just focus on cleaning the glass versus NC State? It's the one thing the Wolfpack aren't good at. They're 13th in the ACC in boards. So we'll see if they can endure this tough schedule ahead. Again, NC State is next after that. Notre Dame hopefully should be a win. And then they play their first of 2 games against number 22 North Carolina. They'll pay a visit to them. So they are road, home, road over the next 3 games entering February. Again, next game, NC State, Tuesday, January 27th, 7 p.m. I'll have coverage on both ends, pre- and post-game show here on CuseSportsTalk.com. Thank you guys for tuning in on ESPN Radio.
It's Orange.